Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. Man, I did get a chance to watch a good portion of the second half of the Phoenix Suns and the Minnesota Timberwolves game. Minnesota just swept the Suns. That announcer said they don't have any picks between the years 25 and 30. No first round picks, rather. Oh my God, they really screwed themselves. I'd forgotten how bad that Beal deal was and the Kevin Durant deal. They don't have any picks, y'all. All of the new talent that's coming into this league is going to be going to different teams instead of the Suns. And the Suns are going to have a team that is going to be bad pretty much inevitably unless they move Booker. They got to trade Booker for picks, y'all. That's the only thing they can do. You could try to trade KD for picks, but I don't know that he has that type of value right now. I mean, you could probably get some picks for him, but not like you want. Booker can still get you that if you trade him now. Beal's not gonna get you nothing because he has a no trade clause that should have never been signed in the first place. Washington was brain dead for even giving him that. I I'm just I'm just happy I'm not a Suns fan. To be honest with you, I really don't see hope for them. And when you have that much on the line for this particular season, you give the reins to Frank Vogel. I'm a Laker fan. Frank Vogel's terrible, man. I've been telling people Frank Vogel's bad. I know there's a lot of Laker fans who give him all the credit in the world for winning a championship, but them last 2 years were horrific. His decision making was terrible. That coach had us standing around, small ball, all that. It was utterly horrific basketball that we watched these last 2 years of Frank Vogel being here. And they, with their circumstance, 1 year to figure it out. Everybody needs to win a championship now, and they hire Frank Vogel. Oh man, my initial thought when the Suns did the whole Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Booker thing was that they're gonna be filling in their roster with a bunch of 1 year guys or minimum guys rather. And to be honest with you, I thought they had done a pretty solid job, James Jones did, of getting good quality players to fill in those roles. I thought they did a much better job than I ever would have dreamed. But now that we see how their playoffs ended, my first thought was the right thought. That should have never been done. You're a brand new owner, you come in and you just start tossing all their assets out the window. Because you want to build a super team. And this is how it played out. They getting swept in the first round by a Minnesota team, who ironically did the same thing. But the difference is they got Ant-Man over in Minnesota. He's the future. So whatever decisions you thought they made that you may not have liked, they still had Ant-Man, yo. Ant-Man dropped 40 on them boys tonight and dunked all on KD's head after driving past, you guessed it, that Bradley Beal. I'm happy I'm not a Suns fan. I really am. There's no hope for them unless they want to trade Durant and Bradley Beal for somebody else's picks and hope those teams aren't any good. That's their hope. You gave away all your picks for guys who were about to be old in 5 minutes. That was absolutely malpractice. Malpractice, bro. Nothing short of it. When you consider what picks actually represent in this league. Currency to make moves and undo things, and the new talent that's coming into the league. And y'all know how I feel about human evolution as it pertains to sports. Everybody's getting faster, stronger, more accurate. You want the new talent on your team. You don't want to see all of your rivals get all of the young guys of the next generation. And that is exactly what's going to happen to the Phoenix Suns. You see what happened to the Detroit Pistons? When they went several years without picks and they had to just sit on Blake Griffin for like 2 years, 3 years. Yeah, the Suns are in even worse position than that. They ain't getting no first round picks no time soon. They just gonna run out there with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant for the next several years. And this is its ceiling right here. And because those guys are valued at the price that they're valued, as it pertains to eating up their cap space, their role players aren't going to look much better than this. If Devin Booker is considering what his prime looks like and his future looks like, he will demand out of there. He will demand out of there. You don't have a future there, man. They sunk it. They sunk it into the ground, bro. They just threw away any chance of that franchise being any good over the next 5 years by making the Bradley Beal trade with him having a no trade clause. As we've talked about a million times, ain't nobody gonna want that. Especially the way he looked tonight, 9 points. He was horrible. He was hurt all season and looked horrible tonight. And then Frank Vogel got the nerve to sit Bol. Like you got anything better going on. You got a young player, 7'2" with guard skills and can deflect every damn thing with his length. And you don't have him on the floor for any of this? That's what I said you guys had going for you, was the fact that you could put that player on the floor next to Kevin Durant and there's nothing would be without disruption with that type of length and speed on the floor. Nothing would be without disruption on that defensive side of the ball. Everything that Minnesota did would have been affected by having those two out there. And he didn't play him? What did you have better going on? I like Royce O'Neal. He was solid. I thought he looked good. But you got to play Bol in this situation. You have to play him, bro. And so I don't know, man. You give the keys to a bad coach when you only have a window from which to win that's probably like 1 or 2 years. This is how the result goes. These teams need to start learning. If you have a win now, championship or bust timeline, you got to make sure the person who's driving the car can actually drive, fam. We've seen this a couple times now. The Boston Celtics are going through it with their coach, young coach. They hired a rookie coach. He's not very good, or allowed him to be the interim and then hired him full time. Missoula, that they're gonna struggle. The Lakers are going through with Darvin, and the Suns just got eliminated with Frank. You can't let bad coaches run a timeline that's supposed to be championship or bust. It cannot happen. Coaching is entirely too important. You cannot just give your ranks to some guy, man. Or a dude who's proven to be bad in everywhere but one situation. Or anything of that nature. You can't do it, man. And so if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I'm definitely getting rid of Frank Vogel. And then I'm blowing it up. I'm trading all 3 of them dudes to anybody that'll give me a first round pick. Or several, obviously. I'm blowing it up. Booker, I'm getting him out of here because he gonna end up unhappy anyway when he finds out what I'm talking about is real. Once he really sits down and figures out what their books looks like, he's gonna realize he's gonna be on a bad team for the next 5 years. You might as well get the hell out of there. Can't move Bradley Beal. Don't even consider it. It's not happening. But you may be able to move Nurkic for some assets. Maybe you get lucky, get somebody. Grayson Allen's on tab for. You should have never paid Grayson Allen under these circumstances. He's a role player. It's probably a nice contract, but you didn't have any business playing him. Not under these circumstances. Absolutely not. A 4-year deal? Nah. He gonna be on a bad team for the next 4 years. That's bad ownership, y'all. That's what that is. They let this fresh owner come in, brand new owner come in, and he's terrible, man. He just came through and just ruined his team for years to come. That's what he did. That's exactly what he did. So, yeah, obviously Kevin Durant's going to want out of there soon. Once he starts realizing how bad that situation is, he's going to want out of there. And hopefully they can get some picks for him. That's their only hope, in my mind. You got to get your farm system going, Phoenix, so that you can have the best G League talent to call up and development process, and then you need to be getting second round picks and scouting your head off to try to find the best second rounders you can find, in my humble opinion. And you load up on them over the next 3 years, and the ones that really do well, if you're happy with them, keep them. If not, you trade them for something that can get you better. 2 or 3 of those guys at a time for a guy that's good. Then you trade him for picks. This is how you have to get yourself out of the situation if you're Phoenix. That's how you have to get out of that situation. Use your second round picks to draft the best possible talent. You hire the best scouts on the planet Earth. You find them from the furthest ends of the earth and you bring them to you. And then you draft the best you can with the second rounders, and you buy as many second round picks as necessary to find those pieces that can be paired together to get you a guy who you can then flip for some picks. Otherwise, it's going to be some long 5 years, y'all. It's going to be some long 5 years, one way or another, because that team ain't no better than this. This is as good as they are. They weren't waiting for nobody to get back from injury or nothing like that. This is what they have. And it was not even good enough to win a game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who was really good, but it's absolutely unacceptable if you're the Phoenix Suns. This is horrific, and I knew it was bad, but I didn't know their pick situation was so bad. I had no idea that they were set to not have any young talent that's any really good come anywhere near them until 30. That is the worst nightmare possible, man. And this is why I don't want the Lakers to mortgage their pick any further unless they're going to bring them a guy who they can then flip for more picks. Because once you do this, you're in a hole and you're going to suck, and it's not going to be for no reason, because everybody else is going to be getting your picks off your bad seasons. So this is a nightmare that teams do not know they don't want. And then as the new players come into the league, left and right, they're not going to be on your team. And your team is going to be mediocre to watch. You're going to have a bunch of role players on your team. And maybe you'll be able to overpay for somebody who might want to come around, but you're going to be like the Charlotte Hornets for a long time. But at least the Hornets have their own picks, so eventually they can get Miller. They can get, players that come in. But you, Phoenix, nah. That team going to be playing in Vegas before it's over with. That's how bad that looks to me right now. That looks terrible, man. That looks really terrible. But the good thing is they can trade their stars to help get those first round picks that they ultimately gave away. But if you don't have your natural born picks, then you tanking doesn't do nothing for you. You could throw a season away, but it's just gonna give that high pick to the team you traded the pick to. Nightmare, absolute nightmare. And they got this problem every year for the next 5 years. I believe they may have their pick this year, but this is the worst draft maybe ever. So there's that. And then that pick is probably not very good because they made the playoffs. So what is it? Pick 18 or something like that? Pick 16? I don't know. Not very good. Not very good. So that's my take on them. Minnesota is now waiting for the Denver Lakers series to end. Hopefully the Lakers can continue to extend that series because I'm obviously a Laker fan. But if for some reason we don't win, that's going to be a good series between them and Denver. I'll tell you right now, I don't think Denver can play like they did against us and beat this team, Minnesota, right now. They're going to have to up their level of play. But they got their hands full with us tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. I actually have a little confidence that my team can win that game. But we'll see how that ages. So, yeah, man. Ant-Man is the truth. Devin Booker definitely played well. He had, 49 points? But Frank Vogel had Isaiah Thomas sitting on the bench, who I would have brought in as a spark plug just to see if he can get hot because he's Isaiah Thomas and he does that. He had Bol on the bench. I told Bol not to sign with that old stupid team. He wanted to go to Phoenix. He didn't want to go to the Lakers. All right. Well, we outlasted them, though, and you would have helped us. But whatever, bro. You pick what you pick. You get what you get. And That's how I feel about Bol. And yeah, man, Grayson Allen, they paid him all that money, and he was not available for the closeout game. I don't know what type of injury he had. I don't know. But I think, like I said, he's a solid 3-point shooter. Um, but for their circumstance, he's just a trade piece. And you hope you can get something for him. But on that contract, you probably won't. Nothing real. Um, Not with 4 years on the deal. Nah, nobody's gonna really want that deal from you. They may take it, but it's not gonna be something they're coveting at all. So you're not gonna get anything worth having to fix your situation for that. Bradley Beal, like I said, that no trade clause coupled with the way he's been looking lately, I don't think he's worth a tenth of what he was paid for. Not a tenth of that. Not going forward. Kevin Durant, you can always get a pick or two for Kevin Durant, but his value is diminishing by the second because he keeps getting knocked out of these playoffs. Every single year he's getting knocked out, swept. I mean, it's getting ridiculous for Kevin Durant. Another inept year for Kevin Durant on a super team that he demanded his way to. Bro, if you don't stop going these stupid super teams, bro, can't you figure out this don't work? How many times Kevin Durant got to do this before he realized that they have stopped him from being able to succeed in doing it? Sometimes you got to realize, yeah, in theory, it's a good idea. But the reality is they didn't negotiate their way through that. These owners don't want super teams blowing them out every year. So they make it so that if you do want to play with a bunch of super guys, your role players are going to be bad. And your team is going to be bottoms up because of it. So, yeah, Kevin Durant going to have to find himself on a good, solid team with a bunch of good, solid players. And he's going to have to average 30 there if he ever wants to play for another championship. Because as long as he's chasing rings, trying to play with the guys, he's going to be the first team eliminated like he is this year. And as a Laker fan, I'm pretty damn happy that we were not the first team eliminated because this show looked that way to us yesterday. But no, it was the Phoenix Suns, man. So yeah, there has to be something the league can do to prevent big oil money, Arab money owners from coming in and just splattering everything on the walls, man, of the teams that they go to. Because these dudes are wealthy and they really don't know what they're actually doing. They just coming in with all the money in the world. Nobody gonna say no to them. But they end up giving themselves more headaches when they come in and just mortgage the future so they can have a couple names that they heard of. It's a mistake, bro. You can't buy your way out of it. You're just stuck now. And you're going to want to sell the team. And you just bought it. You know what I mean? And that's a real thing for this Phoenix Suns owner. He just came in out of nowhere with all the money in the world. And just said, yo, I know of Kevin Durant. I know of Bradley Beal. I don't need no picks. I don't need nothing. Just give me those guys. We're going to win together. It's like, no, that's not how no. That is not real, man. That doesn't actually work. And now, you're just sitting there looking stupid. You done ran the fan base's team into the absolute ground with this decision, bro. So that's what needs to be said, man. Just, they need to educate these owners before they just let them in the room, man. Not everybody, just because they got all the money in the world, need to be owning a basketball team. Especially if they're going to come in and do stuff like this Phoenix owner did. That was the worst thing he could have did for himself, man. It's the worst thing he could have did for his fan base. So, yeah, that's really what it is, man. Next year is going to be probably the same team. Phoenix will have to come back with the same team if they don't blow it up. They're going to come back with garbage, man. And listen, if they come back with garbage next year and they get ousted in the first round, that's 1 year older KD. That's Devin Booker getting older. That's Bradley Beal, probably a role player at that point, the way he looked tonight and the way he's been playing all season. I don't think they should do it. I don't think another coach would help them because they got nothing but role players and not great ones. They need to blow that thing up, man. Send Devin Booker somewhere else and bring back a plethora of picks. I'd send him to Utah or send him to San Antonio or send him to New York. Anyone who has picks, I'm sending Devin Booker there for about 5 of them. If they would be willing. That is, or trade him for another superstar. that's younger, but that's lateral. You need to reset if you're Phoenix. Now, whether or not they know it, it's a whole nother story. But that's what they need to do. They need to rebuild that thing, tear it up, burn it down, bring in picks, change the whole thing. Suck for the next 2 years, and hope to God the picks that you get can work. You know what I mean? Maybe. But again, those picks aren't your picks. Now, what I would want to negotiate if I'm owners is the ability to, when I receive somebody else's pick, be able to swap between my pick, which would be my natural born pick for my ineptitude, or their pick. Because if for some reason I make a trade in good faith when my team is a contender, and then a few things go wrong, now my pick and my ineptitude for my tanking or my misfortune is going to be someone else's benefit. I would want to negotiate out of that if I was the owners. I would want out of that. I would want my own ineptitude to garner my own high pick at all times. It shouldn't even be possible for me to trade that away. You know what I mean? At all. Because when things go absolutely wrong, you're going to want to have your own bad season lead to you getting your top pick, man. It could be the difference between your team being bad for a very long time and your team being good for a very long time. So I don't know how the science would work on that. I have not done any thinking on that. But I'm telling you, if I have to shift from being a contender to being a 10-win team, I do not want my 10-win season to benefit the OKC Thunder because I made a trade a couple years ago when I thought I was good. That should be some type of safety net for all these fans. Because that's really who hurts, man. It's the fans who has to watch all these great players go to different teams when their team is bad. And the fans suffer. So that's who you do that for, man. So those are my thoughts, man. Like I said, stop letting these new owners in here, man. If you're going to let them in there, educate them or put provisions in there that they have to sign off on that makes it so that they can't just do whatever the hell they want to do. That hurts the team for like 6 and 7 years. You got to own the team for like 3 years before you can mortgage the team's future or something. Do something like that. Save your league. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. Out.